Listen, thanks for coming back. I'm Dr. Howard Booz, by the way, from Booz Chiropractic Spine, Tulsa. We're talking with Isaac Caviness, and Isaac's from Tulsa, and he is president of spearheading the Green the Vote petition, and it's helping to legalize marijuana for medical purposes. And we were talking about what medical issues that marijuana helps with. We talked about allopathic measures, and this is one of those measures. And during the break, you were talking about a nerve system, not a nerve system, but a system in the body. There's the nervous system, there's the circulatory system. And you talked about the endocannabinoid system.
Perfect, right? Yes, endocannabinoid system. Within the last few years, researchers have found that our bodies have a system in it that's very similar to all the other systems that make our bodies work, but this one's called the endocannabinoid system. And the interesting thing about this system is that it only works with the cannabis plant, the marijuana plant, with the CBDs and THC within that plant. It's a system within our body that basically delivers the CBD and THC that's within the plant throughout the body, which is one of the reasons why it works so well for so many different illnesses.
And again, I think that you and I are both into it for the same reason. I spent years at Cancer Treatment Center, where I found a lot of folks who because of the situation with law, were trying to find it without people knowing about that, but they had a loved one that was not doing well. They weren't thriving, and so one of their uses for medicinal marijuana is just that very thing, to help them begin to thrive. And earlier on, if you just tuned in, we were talking about some types of seizures that children have, where they have 200 to 300 seizures per day, but yet with the use of cannabis, they're able to decrease those to sometimes as few as one per day. And during the break that Isaac also talked about, that you always want to outweigh risk from benefit, and the risk is for cannabis is things like increased appetite, maybe drowsiness, and some of these folks need to be able to sleep, and so the risk is very minimal. And so we wanted to just discuss this a bit today. And first off, can you tell me what are the details of the Green the Vote petition?
Basically, the Green the Vote petition is a petition that will give patients with a medical need, a doctor would have to recommend that this patient needed marijuana, that it would help for whatever symptoms or illness that they're fighting. So there's not a prerequisite, there's not a list of illnesses that they have to have. Simply any doctor would have to recommend that cannabis would be a good fit for whatever patient's needs were.
At this point too, I'm sure there's going to be somebody out there who's going to say, this is just another excuse for somebody to go and get high, and it's wink wink, we'll get this need for marijuana. And I'm sure there are going to be that segment of the population there is in any type of drug. Sometimes there's an I can't even say the word today, recreational use. But what's sad is that there are people who are dying and they could use the benefits of marijuana, but yet they can't because of this one stance that there are some people who are going to misuse the drug.
Yeah, I'd like to talk about that for just a second.
Please do.
When people do have that mindset that the people like myself are just trying to get access to get high, my argument would be that marijuana is already in your neighborhoods. It's already across the state, and it's the people that you're saying, the people that are just wanting to get high already have access to it. It's your patients who are law-abiding citizens that need access to it, and they won't use it right now simply because they don't want to break the law. And so you're keeping it out of the hands of law-abiding citizens who desperately need it. And the people that just want to get high, they're not in this movement. They're sitting at their couches at home just getting high. They're not going to be standing out on the street corners working 12, 14. Yesterday was an 18-hour day for me.
Wow.
And that takes dedication. That's not something who wants to use it recreationally is willing to do. That's people that do that stand out on the corners and fight with us. We have somebody in our lives. We either are patients or we have patients in our lives that desperately need this, and they need to be able to use it without the fear of being prosecuted.
Well, just talk a little bit about that, because last night I could see the enthusiasm you had about it last night. You just shared many people who walked up and were giving you guys pats on the back, and just some of them, I'm sure, teared up because of the need.
Absolutely. We've been out since May registering people to vote in anticipation for the petition. And, of course, when we're out in public, we've got our Green the Vote gear on, our T-shirts. We've got usually a medical marijuana flag. And so people know what we're about whenever they see us. And I've had so many people come up to me, maybe that are fighting an illness, or they have a grandchild that's fighting an illness, or a grandparent that's fighting an illness. And they come up in tears, and they give us hugs, and they say, please, we need this so desperately. Please make this happen. And so we've been making those promises all year that we will fight every step of the way to make sure that we do everything we can to bring this to people.
I think, first off, I want to thank you for taking the time that you do. And 18 hours, that's a long day. And, what's just from an economic standpoint, too, I mean, to me, I would hate to see Oklahomans have to drive all the way to Colorado to do this. But you're right. I never thought about that the people who want to just do it just to get high, they're already in the system. They're already doing their thing, basically. But it is for people who just feel awkward about going about, where would people used to come to me and say, do you know somewhere to get it? Or are there other people who, and there's a certain medical community that knows about it. They can kind of show people where to do that at, but it's scary because you don't want to get in trouble. And by the way, if you call my office, we have no clue where to get it except point you to Colorado. But
nor if you call my office.
Okay. But what are the statistics telling us that in medical marijuana states? What's showing up in places like Colorado? What can we learn from them?
It's great now because the propaganda up until this point has been that the usage rates are going to go up amongst teens. Colorado has showed us that usage rates have gone down by almost 20% by teenagers.
Wow!
And that has to do with education. That has to do with the fact that you're diminishing the black market. So now you have reputable places that are actually IDing these people and making sure that they are who they are supposed to be, and so the regulation of it has actually brought down teenage usage rates. Prescription overdose rates have gone dramatically down. I believe the rate was 28%. The prescription overdose rates had gone down in Colorado, and simply because people are able to get off the pharmaceuticals and use the medical oils the medical marijuana oils to be able to manage their ailments.
To me, it's just also, too, I've always felt like that what you can't have, you want. And to me, if it were available, it's been my, watching teens, if I could ever, if you always, if you can't drive, you want to drive. And if you can't if you're too young to drink beer, then if you get your license, then you can, it's always what you want. I think this is just one of those things as well.
Traffic fatality rates, that's another good one that you just brought up. Traffic fatality rates have gone down by right at 20% as well. And again, there's no way to know for sure why that's gone down. All we know is that it has gone down, and the assumption would be is that less people are leaning on things like alcohol and using marijuana in place of. And I would never say that you should go, get high on marijuana and drive. But what I would say is if you got high on marijuana and drove versus getting drunk, that you're going to be a much safer driver on marijuana than you would be on alcohol. And I'm not saying that either are okay to do, but that would be one of the reasons why these traffic fatality rates have dropped and DUI rates have dropped in Colorado.
So can you just kind of list the illnesses that, just off the top of your head, that are positively affected?
Okay, very quickly, epilepsy, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, MS, fibromyalgia. There are several studies now about cancer, not only just helping people through the symptoms of the treatment of cancer, but there are some types of cancer that they have proven that marijuana can kill the cancer cells and leave the healthy cells alone.
That's interesting right there. So where does it stand? Does medical marijuana have support from Oklahoma doctors as far as you can tell?
It has a lot of support from Oklahoma doctors. Actually, our headquarters, our main office here in Tulsa was donated to us by doctors. And there's a lot of people in the medical field that are ready to see this happen.
I think as soon as people begin to listen to this information and realize, it's not for people just wanting to get high, but it is for all those people who are definitely suffering. And my heart goes out because I remember seeing women come in who were just, they lost so much body weight, and they were just trying as best they could since they fought cancer to survive, and the loved ones would stand around and just do the best they could to get them to eat some food, but they could hardly ever do that. And it just does your heart good when you see somebody be able to use marijuana effectively and put some weight on. And I found with many of the people I found with just an overwhelming majority, that when they begin to get back to their old self again, they quit using marijuana because they didn't find a need for it.
Correct. The addiction rates of marijuana are lower than the addiction rates to sugar or caffeine. The addiction rates to marijuana are less than 5%. And so that's 5% of users would actually have some sort of addiction that would want them to continue to use. The withdrawals, most anything that, whether it be sugar, caffeine, pharmaceuticals, alcohol, there are severe withdrawal symptoms whenever people get off of it. With marijuana, the withdrawal symptoms would be for some sleeplessness for maybe a few weeks, but nothing severe. No tremors, no headaches, no sickness that comes from whenever you get off of marijuana.
Well, that's impressive. So when Green the Vote gets that's 123,725 signatures, is that correct?
Yes.
So when they get those votes, those signatures on the petition, what's the next step towards legalizing medical marijuana?
Well, that's when we will go into a heavy educational phase. That's we hope that we have some out-of-state money that comes in from some of these national organizations for legalization to help run television campaigns and commercials, because we do know that there will be some opposition that will be running some propaganda commercials trying to get people to vote no on it. And so when we get those signatures, we will be on the November 2016 ballot. And so we need to make sure that we keep the public educated as to why this is necessary here in Oklahoma, and that we get that yes vote.
Great. And so where can people go to help with Green the Vote?
The best way to go to help Green the Vote would be to go to our website, greenthevoteok.com.
So greenthevoteok.com. That's all one word, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And there's a volunteer link on it, a very simple form that you fill out. That's just your name, your email address, and your telephone number. Also, there is a link on there for Green the Vote chapters. So no matter where you're at in the state, if you go to greenthevoteok.com and click on the chapters link, it will take you to a list of Facebook groups that have chapters for across the state. We have over 40 Green the Vote chapters across the state organized. And so that way you can find your way to one of those groups and have people in your area that you can get with and help make this happen here in your area.
Now, I've talked to, this is just hearsay, but I'll say it anyway, and that's one of the biggest oppositions of this are some pharmaceutical companies who could stand to lose a lot of revenue if this passes, because there are a lot of folks out there relying on these pharmaceuticals. And by the way, we talked about during the break about, you've heard me talk over and over again about Vioxx, which killed 50 to 70,000 people, and you're not going to find that with marijuana for people who reach for that type of, again, the risk-benefit ratio is so low when it comes to the risk. So, hey, listen, I really appreciate you coming on the program. I'd like to get you back on when we begin to have the educational period, and we have a large group of listeners out there, and I'm sure they're going to want to know more about it. We've got an open group of people who do listen, and educated group of folks, and I think that they're going to be able to help help push this thing through.
I appreciate you having me on and letting me share the message, because right now, the last Sooner poll showed that 71% of Oklahomans support medical marijuana. So just being able to get on the media, get on these radio shows, get on the news, and let people know that we're even doing the petition is huge for us, because if 71% of registered voters support what we're doing, then we need to get that message to them that we're out there, we're signing people, we're having people sign the petition, and please find our petition. When you go to greenthevoteok.com, a map comes up immediately that shows every business in the state that's hosting our petition, so you have an easy way to go quietly go sign the petition. You don't have to worry about who might see you on the street corner signing the petition, and we need those signatures desperately.
Hey, again, thank you, Isaac. I appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
And so it's Green to Vote, and it's to go to the website greenthevoteok.com. That's greenthevoteok.com. And let's take our last break. It's now 9:49. Listening to Dr. Howard Boo's Living Well on News 102.3 and AM 740 KRMG.